the Eagles on Sunday, but that doesn't stop them from talking. Here's DeMarcus Lawrence. He had some interesting comments regarding the state of his team after their loss.
Talent without direction is nothing at all. It's all about, us making sure we don't lose sight of our direction and, bringing that talent all together.
Talent without a direction is nothing at all. Now, he has since walked back part of that on a conference call in which he said, I don't feel like the direction is lost. I feel like sometimes the focus is lost. Everybody on this team, everybody in this fan base need to look themselves in the mirror and ask themselves, are they really here for the Cowboys, or are they really here just to place blame on each other? Ooh. Okay, so I'm not sure if that makes it better or not. We've got Tannenbaum with us today. And look, there he is. Jeff Saturday is with us from Bristol as well. And Jeff, we'll give you the first word. As we just sort of sit here and look at all of this fallout surrounding the Cowboys, and when you hear a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence, who is the highest paid player in the history of the franchise, making comments like that, what goes through your mind?
I mean, he sees it for what it is, right? You have an uber talented football team that underperformed, and he understands that talent in the NFL, everybody's got talent, but when you underperform the way they have this season, especially when you cap it off with last week's loss, going into Philly with a banged up Philly team that you got to win this division. This team has underperformed for quite a while, but this year in particular, it's just an embarrassing way to go out. And as a pro, you're sitting in that locker room and you get asked these same questions day after day, and it does wear on you. And so ultimately you end up saying, you don't necessarily give the company line, and it hurts people's feelings. But that's the truth. That talent in the NFL doesn't win. Teamwork, all the different things that we talk about, being able to build a culture, all those things show up on Sundays and Mondays. It doesn't just happen. Those things have to be created, and right now the Cowboys don't exhibit it.
Yeah, Mr. T, when you think about the fact that it was DeMarcus Lawrence who said these things, what comes to mind?
Yeah, it's really disappointing. There's a time and place for those comments, and it's not publicly. Highest paid player, Greeny, like you said, only 5 sacks. It really starts with players like him. They need to play better. And a couple days ago, Dan Orlovsky on the show made a great point. Zach Ertz, he's playing with broken ribs, doing everything he can. The Dallas Cowboys' best players, they're tapping out. That tells you everything you need to know. But we need people like Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, some other people to step up, maybe even Jason Witten, inside, have a players-only meeting and say, hey, what we're doing right now is not acceptable. But for DeMarcus Lawrence to say that publicly, he's just creating more problems. He's solving nothing.
I get it. It feels like the time for the players-only meetings, however, was after the loss 5 weeks ago and 4 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago. And here we are where it's probably too late. Jeff, just quickly, I would like to get your take on that as one who played all those years on that offensive line. When you see Amari Cooper not on the field for the biggest play of your season, when you see Ezekiel Elliott taking himself out of the game and now there's a 3rd and 1 and they're running the ball with somebody else, just what thoughts did you have about all of that?
Yeah, first of all, when a player says that, when Amari Cooper said, well, I ran a fly, I ran a go route and they took me out. I played with Marvin Harrison, who's in the Hall of Fame, Reggie Wayne, a number of other really good receivers. You ain't taking them off the field. I don't care what anybody says, right? I mean, I'm staying on the field because I know the situation and where we're sitting. Whether I'm tired, if I'm the guy, I'm looking in the huddle going, hey, man, I'm going to get open. That's the type of player that wins football games when it matters most. It's not the guy, man, I'm really, and so, the coach said I had all those things. I don't even understand that conversation. The Ezekiel Elliott part, the earlier in the game when he came out, that's not the same situation. So you have rotations in the NFL. All those things happen on a 4th down when you're talking about, hey, this is where the whole season lies. A guy saying that the coaching staff took me out. And again, go back to Tannenbaum's, first point. If you're one of the highest paid players on the team, they've done this. They've committed to you the way they have to bring you over. Again, those are the moments, right? That's why you play the game. That's the part that kind of baffles you, is that you're sitting here and guys are saying things. I can tell you right now, right? I'm a lineman. I get it. We have a different. You ain't taking me off unless I'm carted off in a situation like that. Like there is a mentality that the best play with. They're not going to have it. They're not going to stand for it. It doesn't matter what the situation. If I had to call my own timeout at that moment, I'd be like, hey, call timeout. We're getting 30 seconds. We're going to go out because this matters. This is how our season is boiling down to this moment, and we got to go make a play. I'm going to be that guy. That's the part. Like none of this makes sense to me, right? We're blaming everybody, but at the top of the order with Jerry and Jason Garrett, the situation, the game plan. this is all kind of together. I can't imagine that was your practice plan for a week, to go out and throw it 44 times with a guy who didn't practice. None of it fits together. And when you hear players like this, and to Lawrence's point and all, it's confusing. And they are an uber talented football team, again, that underperforms. And why? Because it's that mentality. Like, something about that locker room doesn't create and doesn't stir. I'm going to leave it all out here right now for this moment because this is what matters.
Okay, a lot of the conversation has been around Dak Prescott. And from the front office standpoint, do you think he still gets the deal that he wants after what happened in this loss?
You know, Laura, he still deserves a really big contract. Maybe it's not to the top of the market, but in fairness, and I don't like making excuses, he didn't practice the week before. And if you're the coach, you go into a game, your game plan is firmly etched in pencil, and you have to react to what you see. Ezekiel Elliott only rushed 13 times, and Greeny, you've talked about this for months. They didn't have to pay him. They said, hey, he's our best player. We're going to reward this behavior of you going to Cabo and pay you, even though we don't have to. And then when your season's on the line, you only give him 13 rushes. Dak Prescott is a winning quarterback. He's been durable. He's high character. You have to pay him because if you don't, who are you going to get that's going to be better, and what's his replacement going to cost?
That's exactly the point. I've heard a lot of this conversation, and whatever it is you think, however good you think Dak Prescott is, they have no better option. It's not as though there is someone out there that is better than he is. They're not going into the draft. They're much too close to trying to win. He's going to get the deal that he wants.
And Greeny, we're overcomplicating. When he plays, they win. It's not perfect. And Laura, he didn't play great the other day. He'll be the first one to admit it. But unlike DeMarcus Lawrence, he'll handle that internally, and that's why you want to reward those types of players.
Let's run the hurry up with Mike Tannenbaum, get you caught up on some other NFL news. Zach Ertz fractured a rib in Sunday's win against those Cowboys. What would his absence mean if he's not on the field for Carson Wentz?
It's huge because right now he's the one player that's attracting double team. The one receiver that they may get back is Nelson Aguilar. He can make a big difference, but Ertz would be a huge loss for them.
They are trying to find anybody who can play receiver on this Eagles team. Let's go to the Steelers now as we continue running the hurry up. They're dealing with a ton of injuries as well ahead of their Week 17 game against the Ravens. Mason Rudolph, Marquise Pouncey, both been ruled out. James Conner's availability is in doubt. Can they overcome this, Mike?
Yeah, if I was the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'd be focusing on, hey, we're playing RG3. We're in the playoffs. It starts this week, and we're going to need somebody like Smith-Schuster. He needs to step up, and he needs to carry the load, but they have a great opportunity this week.
J.J. Watt is returning to practice. Mr. T, what do you make of his potential return for the Texans?
Yeah, I'm really concerned if I'm the Houston Texans. They don't have a general manager right now, guys, and they need some checks and balances. You want J.J. Watt to say, hey, I want to play. I'm a world-class competitor. You're Bill O'Brien. You're a week-to-week guy. However, you want J.J. Watt for the next 5 years. He's only 30 years old. If he re-tears that pec, that's a real big problem. So somebody needs to be the voice of reason in that building.
All right, we'll have much more on the NFL as we continue this morning. Meanwhile, there was a very entertaining college football game last night. The game of the night was the Hawaii Bowl between Hawaii and BYU. Pick it up in the third quarter, tied at 31. Zach Wilson is going to try and take it in for the score for BYU. And watch what winds up happening here. Oh, he's going down. Hit hard. And they rule a fumble and a clear recovery. They would review it, no way to overturn it. They decide that is indeed a fumble, so the game stays tied at 31. Fourth quarter now, BYU's up 34-31, trying to add to the lead. This is Jake Oldroyd with the field goal. It's up, and it's good, only it isn't. They rule this no good, and it's not reviewable. Tannenbaum, your thoughts?
It's good. Over the top is good.
Watch this again. They rule this no good, and it's not reviewable. Anyway, the lead stays at 3. Late in the fourth quarter, under 2 minutes remaining, Hawaii is trying to come back. This is Cole McDonald. He's looking for Nick Mardner in the end zone, and he's got him. Hawaii up 38-34, so BYU down to its last chance, final half minute. Wilson back to throw, and this one is picked off, and that's all she wrote. Hawaii wins it 38-34, and there was much rejoicing for the home team in the Hawaii Bowl. And we remind you that the college football playoff semifinals are coming your way this Saturday on ESPN. You'll see Joe Burrow and number 1 LSU taking on Oklahoma, and then it's number 2 Ohio State and number 3 Clemson. Those matchups all set to go, and the winners will play for the national championship Monday, January 13th. All of the action is right here on ESPN.
Terrible news to share as our ESPN colleague and friend Ed Ashoff passed away yesterday on his 34th birthday. Ed was the best of all of us, kind, gracious, driven, and curious. His smile radiated goodness. He was always good for an airport meetup, a big hug, an encouraging message out of the blue. Today, I'm remembering our times on the Gator football beat, laughing under Ben Hill Griffin's